In this video, I want to talk to you a little bit about hosting, because so many people have been asking me about hosting all types of different events, whether it's an internal event in your company, maybe it's something that you want to organize yourself, you work in your department and maybe you want to bring a bunch of people together and do something, or perhaps you are invited to speak at some external conference and you have to host. Well, it can get tricky, right? Because it's very different to just presenting your keynote. So in this video, I'm going to give you some of my best tips for making that experience much easier. Number one rule of hosting: it is not about you, okay? When you become a host, and it doesn't matter where, whether it's some comedy show or a business event, whatever it is, it's not about you. You are there to make the show run, right? So you are there to increase the energy, to make all of those links in between the speakers and different things happening during the show. You are there to increase the energy, to make everybody feel comfortable, to make people feel like they're at home, to introduce the speakers, to make them the stars of the show, right? So it's not about you. And I'm talking about it because so many people, when they get this hosting opportunity, they feel this pressure of becoming a damn comedian, right? And it's, I don't blame them, right? I mean, this happens. When you get an offer to host a show, the first thought pops into your mind, wow, but some of those hosts are so funny. So now I have to become a comedian. Now, the problem is, if you are not already a comedian, if you are not a funny person by nature, then if you now try to fake it and try to force being funny, you probably won't be funny and you will come across as somebody who's just trying to put themselves out there to be in the spotlight. But this is not your job. When you are hosting some type of event, you don't have to be funny, right? You just have to be yourself. You have to live up to who you are, and you gotta stay within your job responsibility. So rather than making it about you, rather than spending too much time talking about yourself, spending too much time making jokes and doing things like that, you gotta be professional, and you gotta remember that your main responsibility is to make the show run smoothly, to keep the energy light and positive, and to make other people the star of the show. Let's talk about your energy level. Now, when you give a keynote, it's okay to have lower level of energy. It depends on the topic, depends on your personal style. Now, of course, if you are trying to motivate your employees, you want to increase the energy, right? Or you want to modulate it, you want to go up and down, up and down. But there could be some topics where maybe your personal style and the topic allow you to keep a little bit lower energy and have still that calm charisma, where you don't speak too fast, you don't speak too loud, but you just have that calm charisma. However, when you are a host of any event, you want to really increase the energy in the room, because it's totally different. Again, your responsibility is to keep the energy up, and your responsibility is to make everybody else the star of the show, to make sure that everything flows smoothly. So your energy levels are really important. Nothing is worse than a host who just gets to the stage. Hi, how's everybody doing? Great. Today we have a very exciting day. The first speaker will be a person who, I mean, come on, everybody's already falling asleep, right? So even though you may not feel like a showman, you don't have to be one, but at least keep your energy high, keep your energy positive. Always ask yourself, how would I talk to those people if they were guests at my home, right? You want to have this very warm energy, you want to smile, you want to be light, and if you do that, you're going to do just fine. Okay, so how to do proper introductions. Now, if you're a host, of course, you'll have to introduce different people on a stage, and it can get tricky for many people. And I had situations when, for example, I was introduced in a very bad way by different people, when the host didn't know actually what to say, right? And they would kind of stutter and they would just say something like, okay, welcome to the stage, Jimmy. What about the surname, right? I mean, Jimmy, there are many Jimmys out there. They would never mention what I do. They would never mention any interesting fact about me. They would kind of stumble on their words, tell a story that's not relevant, and then say my first name. I mean, that's not the way to introduce anybody. What you want to do is, you want to ideally talk to the speaker whenever you can, right? So if you are at a conference and you have direct access to the speakers, talk to them and simply ask them, hey, how do you want me to introduce you? Like, do you have any specific thing you want me to say? Because here's the thing, if somebody's presenting and, for example, they just released a book just a few weeks ago, even though they may have other accomplishments, they don't really care about any of that. They just want to promote the book. So it wouldn't be wise of you to talk about the fact that they built this multi-million-dollar company and they created that software and this and that. They don't care about it. Their focus now is to sell the book. So the smart thing for you as a good host would be to introduce them and then say, and this person wrote a best-selling book called Bam Bam Bam, right? So always ask the speaker. Now, when you cannot ask the speaker, because there are situations where the event is so packed, or maybe you're doing it kind of last minute, especially when you're doing internal events in company and you just can't talk to the speaker, then do your homework or ask people who know them how you should introduce them, right? Now, don't make the introductions too long, but don't make it too short. Make sure that when you introduce someone, you elevate them. You want to create a situation that people get excited about seeing that person present, right? The last thing you want to have is a situation where people are sitting there listening to your intro thinking, okay, what a big deal. Why is this person on a stage? Like, what's a big fuss about it? No, you want to have a situation where after your introduction, everybody is curious. There's a sense of mystery. It's like, wow, that person will be speaking. I definitely want to stick around. I definitely want to keep my eyes and my ears open right now. Another thing is that when do you say the name of the person? One of the biggest mistakes is to say the name right at the beginning. So for example, if I say, next speaker will be Tim Ferriss. Tim Ferriss wrote these many best-selling books, bam, 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 bam. I get into it, but now everybody already knows it's gonna be Tim Ferriss. And they all have some preconceived notions about Tim Ferriss, right? Because many people know him. So now rather than listening to me, they're kind of tapping into their own memory of that person. So rather than doing that, what you wanna do is you wanna get on a stage and you wanna start sharing things about that person. And again, ideally you wanna make it high level, high value. You want to add a little bit of mystery in there, a little bit of humor, especially if you know the person. It's always nice to mention some type of inside story in there to make it more entertaining. And then right at the end, you say the name. So you say, okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, welcome to the stage, Tim Ferriss, right? So till the end, they don't know exactly who it's gonna be, all right? Very important, use this because it's very, very powerful, but very simple. Interaction with the audience is always very important, but especially when you are a host, right? Because when you're a host, you gotta raise that energy in the room. You wanna make sure that in between the speeches, people don't fall asleep. You gotta make sure that you keep that energy high, because conferences are usually quite long, right? Or internal events, for example, within your company. They usually take for many, many hours, and it's easy for people just to have that crash where they slowly fall asleep in their chairs. So you got to make sure that you always have some type of interaction. Of course, you don't want to overdo it, but you can do it in a very subtle way. For example, asking people, hey, how many of you can relate to the last presentation? Raise your hands. Okay, how many of you are excited about the next speaker? Raise your hands. All right, you want to get people to clap as well. Like, this is very important from the beginning. You got to make people want to clap. You got to get them into the habit of clapping. So for example, what I do when I present, even when I'm not a host, right at the beginning, I like to say, guys, by the way, first of all, let's give a big round of applause for the organizers of this amazing conference. And then everyone is clapping. Guess what? When they start clapping, now they are more used to clapping, so they are more likely to clap when I say something funny or something profound, okay? So as a host, it's very important to interact with your audience. Nowadays, people crave authenticity more than anything else. And I'm talking about it because, very often when you become a conference host, you feel this temptation, this pressure almost to be funny, right? Or to perform in a certain way, to put on some type of mask. Even internally, when you host something, you may feel like, well, now I'm the host, I have to be funny, I have to be this, I have to be that. And of course, as I said in other videos, it is important to raise your level of energy. It is crucial to be positive, to be upbeat, to have this light energy about you, but at the same time, you cannot put some random mask on you. You gotta stay true to yourself. So to give you an example, look, I don't perceive myself to be an extremely funny guy, like definitely not me. When I get on a stage, my main purpose is to make an impact, right? And whether people laugh in the process, that's secondary. It's always fun to make people laugh, but that's never the purpose. So recently I got asked to host a talent show. And I have to be honest with you, the first thought was, I kind of want to say yes, but I kind of want to say no, because I'm not the funny guy. I'm not a comedian. And I was kind of, I have to be honest with you, I was kind of stressed out deep inside about getting out there with this pressure to be funny. And of course I said yes, because whenever you see something that's uncomfortable, you have to go for it. That's how we all grow. And then at some point I realized, wait a second, why would I put this pressure on myself to be funny? I'm just gonna stay who I am. And if some jokes come to my mind while I'm performing, that's fine. Then I'm gonna make them in a natural way rather than prearranging a bunch of jokes that are really funny, right? So I ended up getting on a stage and I killed it. It was amazing. It was lots of fun. I had fun, and I wasn't funny all the time, but I definitely made a few funny jokes up there. But the main point is that whenever you face a situation like this, you just gotta realize that as long as you stay true to yourself, as long as you stay authentic, that's when you will connect to your audience at a deeper level.
Funny, he doesn't take himself too seriously. When we ask him, hey, can you give us some facts about yourself? We expected to hear a regular thing, and he simply said, hey guys, I'm like Ed Sheeran, just without the talent. And, and then he added, I'm like Prince Harry, just without the cash. So, super funny guy. He walks his talk, funny on the stage, funny off the stage. Ginger Chris, it's a pleasure to have you here. So this group is 131 years old combined, and it's only 2 of them. Okay? So these are the oldest guys on the cruise. They're super, super cool, super funny. Right? In many ways, they are an inspiration. I mean, definitely at that age, I would love to be traveling and doing the stuff that they are doing. By the way, feel free to give them a huge round of applause because they can handle it. And even if they don't handle it, we have emergency on standby. So, guys, that when they come up to the stage, we give them as much energy as possible, all right? Because look, this is not a competition. There are no losers here. Everyone is a fucking winner, right? If you come up to the stage, you push yourself, you become a winner. So make sure that you give them as much energy as possible, even if it means. It's not easy to come to the stage. Many of those people were really fighting their demons, right? You want to show something, you want to entertain your community, but there's this fear that's holding you back. And then bam, you push through it, and they ended up here, and thanks to them, we had this amazing night. So once again, just huge round of applause for all of the performers.